on a special edition of In Focus. With the U.S. presidential election just days away, what are Africans saying about the democratic process? And what the future holds for U.S.-Africa relations? In Focus starts right now.
Hello, I'm Ndimyake, Mwakalyelye.
And I'm Vincent, Makori. The U.S. presidential election is on Tuesday, and both candidates, Democratic incumbent Barack Obama and his Republican challenger Mitt Romney, are campaigning extremely hard in the final days before the vote, looking for any edge with the voters that might propel them into the White House.
Well, at this moment, the race to be commander-in-chief has turned into an all-out fight in the so-called battleground states, most notably the Midwestern state of Ohio, where both men are expected to continue to blitz the state with campaign appearances until Election Day.
Now, both Obama and Romney are counting on the immigrant population, including Africans, to mobilize and vote en masse, while many African voters are supporting Obama, largely because of his Kenyan ancestry. Others are looking beyond race and voting on his policies and those of his Democratic Party. Not all agree with him.
And one of these is Tochi Duhu. Mr. Duhu was born in the U.S. but lived in Nigeria before returning to the U.S. years later. He's registered as an independent voter but says he's a conservative thinker and has only voted for Republican candidates, including John McCain in the 2008 presidential elections. Now in this election, he says he's voting for Mitt Romney. Mr. Duhu, welcome to In Focus.
Thank you very much for having me.
I know it's no surprise to you that every time you mention that, people are surprised that an African would want to vote for Mitt Romney when he's running against somebody of African ancestry. What's your response?
Well, I try to explain to them that it's all about policies. I'm really not, I don't pay too much attention to race, and it's just about policies. I try to explain to people that you need to look at exactly what is going on in the country and the direction that the country is going to. But I met with a lot of people who are very upset at what I say, because I really feel they expect me to vote for the president, whom I like personally. They expect me to vote for him, yes. They expect me to vote for him personally simply because he's African American.
Let's break it down a little bit. You know, it's not just about President Obama. You've always voted Republican.
Correct.
So when you talk about policies, what is the fundamental difference between the policies of the Republicans that you like and those of the Democrat?
For one thing, the Democratic Party, they are liberal thinkers. There are certain things about being liberal that I simply don't agree with. And you see, and that's the reason for the trend of my voting Republican for the past two elections. It's simply about liberal policies. For example, their position on abortion, Planned Parenthood, quasi-socialism, like the president is initiating, like the rich should. There's a problem being rich. You have to give to the poor. I'm not a rich man. I'm not wealthy. But I really want to be wealthy in the future. I want to be rich. I want to own my own business someday. I don't want the government to tax me for what I have simply because I own a business.
Now, Tochi, some also say, you know, they don't object to what you're saying, that they want to be rich too. Everybody wants to be rich. But at the same time, also the way that, say, Mitt Romney is saying he will handle it versus the way President Obama says he will handle it, which could benefit the majority of people, which are not really, or who are not rather, in the rich bracket. And then also Ms. Romney says he wants to reverse the Obamacare, which you say you support, with the exception of the fact that you can be on your parents' policy until you're 26, or also another factor of, I can't remember which one it is.
So,
yeah, pre-existing conditions.
The Obamacare is simply not a good deal for Americans, but
the Supreme Court disagrees with you.
Yeah, the Supreme Court disagrees with me, but you remember that the majority of U.S. citizens, Americans, people who live in this country, do not support that bill. That bill was passed and voted on and passed in 2009, and in 2010, Americans in the midterm elections, they voted out every single Democrat that voted for the bill. And that's why they are the minority in the House today. Now, my question to people is this. If the bill was so good, if the Democrats did something wonderful, then why did they have to vote them out the very next year?
You're talking about the Tea Party.
No, not the Tea Party. I mean, not the Tea Party. I mean, it was the midterm elections.
Yeah.
They were voted out massively.
But, you know, when it comes to all those, whether you're talking about the healthcare issue, first, we know that it has been said, part of it, a big chunk of it actually is almost a carbon copy of what Governor Mitt Romney had in his own state.
Yes.
And when we're talking about the economic performance of the country was in a really bad state. And the president says, we've made some movement. What do you think would happen differently if a Republican takes over this government, this presidency?
Okay, Mr. Romney, about the healthcare bill passed in Massachusetts, Mitt Romney has said specifically that you allow the states to make the choices for this kind of things. You don't impose them on federally. You allow states to make choices. And
so it's not that it's bad, but the states should make their choice. It's not that it's bad, but the states should make their choices. But then again, there are other things like I tell a couple of people, the healthcare bill is like a briefcase full of old newspapers and a little bundle of cash piled on top. When you open the briefcase, you see the cash on top, which is the healthcare, the pre-existing condition clause, and you can be on health insurance till you're 26 years old. There are good things about the bill. That's the money on top. When you pull out the money on top, everything under is full of old newspapers. Tochi, and that is my opinion.
We're running a little bit out of time, but I want to know from you. So your perception is that people misunderstand Mitt Romney, his policies, and the Republican Party as a whole.
I think that they misunderstood him prior, probably like 4 or 5 months ago. And after the first debate, they're beginning to understand that is why he's so close. If everyone in this country liked the president's policies, if they really are feeling him like they felt him in 2008, this election will not be as close as it is now.
But in a few seconds, of course, this is a democracy. The fact that it looks like it's so close, it means that at least half or more than half of the voters think the president is doing a good job, and half maybe having a problem.
Actually, this election is a referendum on the president. When half of the country feel that you're not doing a great job against you, then you're not doing a good job.
Well,
thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Duhu.
Yeah, that's right. That's Tochi Duhu is an American citizen supporting Republican candidate Mitt Romney for president. And for more information on any of today's stories, please visit us online at voaafrica.com and be sure to befriend us on Facebook. The address facebook.com/voainfocus.